Hello, welcome to Summerfest Online 2020. Thank you very much for coming along to view these presentations. Just a quick reminder that we have a number of exhibitors in the exhibitors hall. If you want to go along and have a quick browse, maybe do some shopping, then we'd love to see you. And a quick reminder too about our wonderful sponsors, Yayo Hemp Products and Butte Island Cheese. They're also in the exhibitors hall and they'd love to see you too. If you've enjoyed the show, please remember this is a free event, and if you'd like to make a small donation, you'd be very welcome. Please go to the Friends of VegFest page to make a donation. And a reminder too, we have another show in November, London Online, and in next March, Plant Powered Expo. And you can find out all about that on VegfestUK. Thanks very much and enjoy the presentation.
Hi, my name's Heather. I'm a dietitian and I work for the Vegan Society. We're a charity based in Birmingham. We are the oldest vegan organisation in the world because our founders coined the term veganism, and we work to support people to go vegan and stay vegan. This will just be a short session, busting some myths around vegan nutrition and providing a few tips about how to get the most out of your vegan diet. So the first myth we're looking at is that it's difficult to get protein from plants. So you hear a lot of people talking about protein in our diets, and some people have concerns that you can't get enough protein from a vegan diet. So actually, plant protein can provide all the building blocks that our bodies need. And there are really 3 boxes that you need to tick to be able to get enough protein. So you need to have adequate calories, which means that you need enough fuel in your diet to be able to maintain a healthy weight. It's important to have a varied diet as well, and it's also important to have a balanced diet. So make sure that your meals include sources of good quality plant protein. So legumes, which are beans, peas and lentils, these foods are superstars of vegan nutrition. They're a good source of protein. They can also count towards one of your 5 a day. So they're really good foods to eat at least once a day, maybe twice a day. Also, tofu, a soy-based product, contains high quality protein, and certain nuts and seeds are also good sources of protein, including cashew nuts and pumpkin seeds. And also peanut butter and peanuts can provide some good quality protein as well. So myth 2 is that you have to get omega-3 fat from oily fish. So there are a lot of people who either don't like eating oily fish or they choose not to, like vegans. And it's important to look for other sources of this particular type of fat. So you can balance your daily diet by including a really rich source of omega-3 fat, such as walnuts or ground linseed or flaxseed, as it's also known, chia seeds or hemp seeds. And to give you an idea of quantities, that might be sort of having a tablespoon of ground linseed in some yogurt alternative or on your cereal in the morning, and that would provide you with a good baseline amount of omega-3 fat. It is possible to take a vegan supplement that provides the long chain omega-3 fats, EPA and DHA, that are found in oily fish, although this isn't thought to be essential for vegan health. So myth 3 is that you can't absorb iron from plant foods. So iron deficiency is a big issue worldwide for people eating a variety of different diets. So it is something that everyone needs to think about. And obviously most of us get the bulk of our nutrition from plant-based foods, so it's particularly important to know which foods contain good amounts of iron. So often this mineral is found in the protein-rich foods that we looked at earlier, including your beans, peas and lentils. Also whole grains can be a really useful source of iron as well, and certain dried fruit like dried apricots and dried figs, and also certain leafy greens as well, like kale. You can boost iron absorption by eating it with a source of vitamin C. So that's a really good tip for meal times. So you might do tofu stir fry with broccoli, or throw some bell pepper into a chili, or finish off your meal with some strawberries for dessert, for example. Myth 4 is that you can't get enough calcium without dairy. So the UK's Eat Well Guide, which is a sort of healthy eating tool for the UK, actually recognises the role of fortified dairy alternatives. And if you swap from cow's milk to fortified plant milk, you can maintain your calcium intake because they're fortified to contain a similar level of calcium. So that can be a really valuable tip for people who are transitioning from a diet that contains dairy to a vegan diet. You sometimes hear people promoting greens as a source of calcium, and certainly they can provide useful amounts of well-absorbed calcium. However, the amounts per serving tend to be a lot lower than, for example, fortified alternatives to milk and dairy. So this list just shows you how much of these particular vegetables you'd have to eat to consume half of the daily calcium target for adults in the UK. So as you can see, it's quite a lot. I think it's nearly a kilo if you work it out. So really it's important to try and look for sources that provide a higher amount per serving. So having some plant milk or some fortified yogurt alternative, calcium set tofu, and that can be really helpful. There are also certain types of breads that contain extra calcium. So there's a soya and linseed variety that can make a useful contribution towards your daily calcium target. So I'd suggest eating these type of foods a couple of times daily to make sure that you're well on your way to hitting your target. So the sixth myth is that plant foods are a source of B12, or plants produce B12. So there are a lot of claims out there that certain whole food, whole plant foods can provide B12, but it's important to be suspicious of any kind of claims that B12 comes from plants, because all B12 actually comes from microorganisms. So it's really important that vegans rely on safe sources of B12, and these are foods that are fortified or a supplement that contains B12, and you can have a look at our full recommendations around this particular vitamin on our website. Myth 7 is that only vegans need supplements. So fortified foods and supplements represent a really useful way of supporting lots of different people to hit their nutrient targets. So I've just listed a few examples here in the UK. So vitamin D drops are recommended from birth for breastfed babies, and supplementation of vitamins A and C is also recommended as a nutritional safety net for under fives. There's also a recommendation around vitamin D supplementation for everyone in the UK aged 5 and over from October to March as a minimum, and for some groups it's recommended that they use a supplement year round. And there's also a recommendation for folic acid supplementation during pregnancy planning and during the first trimester. So those are a few examples of how supplements can help lots of different groups of people to meet their nutritional needs. So myth 8 is that soya is unsafe. There is a lot of debate around the safety of soya, but soy-based foods can be safely consumed as part of a balanced diet, and they can be a really useful source of nutrition for people eating a vegan diet, for their protein content, as well as other nutrients, and particularly for people with relatively high protein needs, so athletic individuals and also older adults. So there is a recommendation that people who are age 65 or over just get a bit of extra protein into their daily diet to support muscle health. There's a really good fact sheet produced by my professional body, the British Dietetic Association, that's available online. So if you have any concerns around this particular food, I'd recommend checking that one out. Myth 9 is that vegan diets aren't suitable for children. So we work with the British Dietetic Association to share the message that well-planned vegan diets can support healthy living in people of all ages. So if you plan carefully, you can provide all the nutrients that are needed for growth and development. And the American Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics shares a similar message. Myth 10 is that athletes can't thrive on vegan diets. So there are lots of great examples of elite athletes who are thriving on vegan diets. Obviously, nutrition is a key part of maximizing performance, and there are higher protein targets for people who are athletic, but these can be met by eating plenty of good sources, plant-based sources across the day. Soya and split pea milk can be useful for people who are athletic due to their higher protein content. And some people who are athletic, they need a lot of fuel, but not everyone has a big appetite. So using foods like soya, vegan corn, seitan, nut and seed butters, and white pasta and rice can be really useful if you need to get the fuel in, but you need a less bulky diet. So now that we've looked at a few myths around vegan diets, I'm going to finish off with a few tips about how to get the most out of a vegan diet. So this is the Vegan Eat Well guide. It's available on our website. It's just basically helping you to get started with reviewing your diet. So having a look at the main food groups with sort of a few extra tips for people who are vegan. There are also some sustainability tips on our website as well in the full version. So you've obviously got your two biggest food groups. So in terms of fruits and vegetables, we've already mentioned the importance, we've already looked at the importance of including sources of vitamin C in your meals. It's also good to know where vitamin A comes from in vegan diets in the form of carotenoids and vitamin K. So I'd recommend checking out the nutrient pages on our website for more information. In terms of starchy food, it's good for everyone to try to go for the whole grain and higher fiber choices. They're the more nutritious choices and help you to get enough fiber into your diet. In terms of the other food groups, so we've already looked at protein. The Eat Well guide, the standard Eat Well guide, actually says that everyone should eat more beans and pulses. So people eating a balanced vegan diet are often ahead of the game because beans, peas, and lentils are a core part of their diet. You've also got the calcium-rich foods group. So, as I said earlier, if you eat a couple of portions of these really rich sources of calcium daily, you'll be well on your way to hitting your calcium targets. So that's your fortified alternatives to dairy, calcium set tofu, and also, for example, soya and linseed bread fortified with extra calcium. So those are a few of the considerations around balanced vegan diets. And you'll notice that there are a couple of extra boxes. So one of the boxes on the left draws your attention to omega-3 fat. So as we've mentioned, it's really important to get a rich source of that into your daily diet, like walnuts or ground linseed. And also your attention is drawn to a few other nutrients that deserve special attention. And this brings me on to the topic of supplementation. So we've also already touched on it, but it is good to be aware of general recommendations around supplementation for people in the UK, including vitamin D. And then in terms of the vegan specific stuff, as we've mentioned, you need to make sure that you're getting enough B12 from fortified foods or a supplement. It's also really important to ensure that you've got a reliable source of iodine in your diet. So a supplement's a good bet, or if you're drinking, say around 500 milliliters of fortified plant milk daily, that could be a really good source of iodine for you if you're choosing a product with added iodine. Selenium is a mineral that can be topped up in your diet by a supplement, and that's a reliable way of guaranteeing that you're getting enough every day. And as I said earlier, you can choose to take a supplement with the long chain omega-3 fats, EPA and DHA, and it's not thought to be essential for vegan health, but it might be a more important consideration during pregnancy, breastfeeding and childhood due to the role of these fats in brain, nerve and eye development. So that's one thing to consider for some people. So just to summarize, in order to get the most out of your vegan diet, choose a rainbow of fruit and vegetables. Make sure that you're going for some whole grain, higher fiber, starchy food choices. Include good sources of protein in your meals, and remember to include those beans, peas and lentils in your diet to get the most out of your vegan diet. Make sure that your daily diet features a really rich source of omega-3 fat like walnuts. Make sure you're getting at least a couple of portions of calcium-rich food daily, like fortified foods or calcium-set tofu. Make sure you're following UK guidance around vitamin D supplementation, and also check that you're getting a reliable source of vitamin B12, iodine and selenium into your diet as well. So we have a campaign at the Vegan Society called Vegan and Thriving, and for this campaign we came up with some recipes that are balanced and provide at least 2 of your fibre a day, and they have a few useful tags on them as well. For example, recipes that are particularly rich in calcium, recipes that are handy for batch cooking, and it can be a really useful area of the website to check out if you're doing some meal planning for the week. Lots of recipes from breakfast to evening meal. So if you need more information about vegan diets, check out the resources at vegansociety.com/nutrition. Also, you can check out the resources that are connected with our Vegan and Thriving campaign at vegansociety.com/thriving. So that's the Vegan Eat Well guide and the thriving recipes. And also you might like to try using our free V Nutrition app, which will help you to get started with checking your vegan diet and seeing if you're getting the most out of it.